Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. It is Christian here and you're tuned in for more of my 2 cents. If you are new to the channel, then welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad to have you here. It's going to be a great fun topic. It's Sunday. I am actually recording this day of, okay? I have been really loving this format and it's allowed me so much flexibility to actually plug in when I need to, get it to you guys and move on with the day. So I'm excited about this format. If you are a returning to center, thank you so much for coming back. I'm so glad to have you here. Subscribed, locked in, pun on the topic. Locked in was the title of Sarah Jakes Roberts' sermon. I believe it was last Sunday that has since gone viral. It was a viral moment on the internet. It was a viral moment at church, clearly. And now we're going to discuss it. I thought I was going to stay away from the topic. I really did. Because, to me, I was like, oh, okay. But we're here, okay? Because people wanted the 2 cents and we're just going to bring what we got. All right. I would say I ain't got much, but 2 cents is what it is. And that's what y'all finna get. 3 points that matter most before we start any discussion or dialogue. Number 1, you're not alone. Number 2, you're not crazy. Number 3, God, your creator, still loves you. And I do too. So let's get into it. So last week, it hit the internet, videos surfaced, and you know how people do. Streaming is a whole thing now. People stream their services, people record during services with their phones or whatever. And it hit the internet of Sarah Jakes Roberts mid message delivery on the stage, and her wig begins to slip off. And we got to know. We just got to know. Here's a little shot, a little play-by-play of how things went. It started sliding off in picture 1, picture 2, and I watched it. I watched part of the sermon. I didn't watch all of the sermon because the video was like an hour and something long, and I didn't want to sit through any message. So I watched part of the sermon, and she was touching her head. She felt that it was slipping, I believe, because as a woman, when you feel, she knew, okay? I just don't believe she knew that it was doing all that it had gotten to. And so here in these screenshots, you can see where the slow progression, how it took place. And so I'm actually going to play the clips from the service and let you guys listen to the service and actually see it happen. There will be 2 clips, and then I will come back from there and give my 2 cents. So lock in, okay? And let's take a listen.
For a fully integrated faith. An opportunity. Child, my wig is up. Well, tell me about it. I don't care. Y'all don't think this is my hair, do you? I really don't care. Because none of this is really necessary. Because I recognize what is really necessary. If the wig stay on or not, if the shoes stay on or not, I know what I'm really here for. I understand that I came here to lock in on something. So you can make the memes and make the videos. At the end of the day, one thing I know for sure is that me and God locked in on a word. And if this is a distraction, then let it fall off. Because at the end of the day, I believe that I am called to bring breakthrough in this room. And if I'm in the... For a fully integrated faith.
All right, that is the first one. Let's get
an opportunity.
Into
Child, my
the
wig
rest.
Is up. Well, tell me about it. We've been in a fight before. Now wait a minute. When we've been in a fight before, do we or do we not have to let a few things snatch off so that we can show them? At the end of the day, I'm about it for real. I don't care what it takes. I gotta make it to the other side. I don't care what it takes. Do you think the woman with the issue of blood cared about her hair? Do you think the woman with the issue of blood cared about what she looked like? The woman, all right. I'm about to take it off. It ain't never. Sometimes you need to see it from the platform so you can do it with your platform. It ain't always gonna be cute. It ain't always gonna be pretty. But one thing's for sure, it's gonna always be God. And I don't care what they say about me. I care that he gets the glory when it's all said and done. We've been in a fight before.
All right.
Now wait a minute.
So there we have it. We have the clips. We have the clips. I gotta tell you, if you've ever heard any of my other videos, you know how passionate I get in tone, how I can take it up. You feel me? She definitely is her daddy's daughter. That's all I'm gonna say. She her daddy's daughter. You know what they say? That's his daddy's son. She her daddy daughter. She definitely gets it from Thomas Dexter. Okay. I listened to about 20 minutes of the sermon. Like, I watched a pretty good portion of it before it even got to this part. Because I was like, no, let me look at the sermon. Let me not fast forward to what became the viral sensation. Let me actually look at what led up to it for context, right? Because I'm okay with saying this, right? Like, I feel like I have a skill, not a skill, but a gift, as many of us do if we operate in it, of discernment. Like, you can discern people's energy. I don't want to say intention, because you can't really assume someone's intention behind something, because that would require you to be in their mind, right, to know. And I'll get into it later on in the video of what my opinion and my 2 cents is, but I wanted to look at more of the sermon to see like how she was flowing, how things was just going, what was the message overall in general, to get like an idea of if this was indeed a setup. If this was a scheme that Todd came, set up to come at us with the bullshit. I just wanted to see. And who child. Let's get into the facts of the video, okay? So I'm definitely going to say this as a person who used to be in church all the time. I've seen a lot of things. I want to start off by saying that in the African American church, in our Black church culture, it is not at all out of the realm of possibility for someone to kick off their shoes and relax their feet, worship on down to the escape beat. Just kick it. Okay. It is not. It's not out of the norm to see someone remove their shoes and shout, remove their shoes while they're singing, remove their shoes while they're preaching. It's not out of the ordinary. It's also not out of the ordinary as a child growing up in the African American church to see women, older women, who may start shouting and bucking and their wig fly off. That's not out of the ordinary either. These are some key points that I want to make, because I think that sometimes, depending on what your background is in church and what your experiences are in like certain religious settings, you may not have had this experience to even understand that it's a possibility. Okay, let's start there. That's the foundation. And part two that I'm going to say to that effect would have to be the background that I understand that the most captivating, emotional driven sermons are those that have moments of authenticity, that allow the audience to connect with the minister or with the person that is delivering a message. So if something goes awry with the microphone, if something happens with their clothes, if something happens, like in the audience, what is that person's ability to respond and to engage in an authentic way that doesn't really like throw the service off or make everyone shame, embarrassed, or uncomfortable. And so Sarah has a great, my God, sis is gifted. Do you hear me? To move on. She said this message was about locking in, and she indeed did that. She did that. She locked in. She did not skip a beat. Now, what I noticed is that, as I just stated, she's her daddy daughter. Her father is a storyteller. And in her sermon, before this moment even took place, she was definitely in her bag. She was in her bag, okay? She was in her flow. She was telling, the stories from the Bible, talking about women, like the key target audience in many churches, based off of statistics, is going to be a narration towards women. It's going to be a message and a delivery that is more feminine focused than anything, because 61% of people in church are women. That's what make up the attendance of a Sunday service across the US. Women, women's are the ones at church. And as we could see from the pan across the audience and up there by the stage alone, it looked like it was a damn concert. All the women's that was up there. And you had a couple of men here and there, which I'm pretty sure, they were there for the worship experience. Maybe they were on staff. The ones in the musician pit, old dude in the burgundy suit behind, he looked shocked as, do you hear me? He looked so shocked when she ripped that wig off. And her good old sister Cora was like, here you go, sis, hand it to me. And she threw it off. Um, it's so much. It's so much. So I wanted to set those foundational things first and say those things because I think that it's important. I know that you all may be coming to hear my opinion, my 2 cents, whether I thought it was staged or not, whether I thought it was foolery or not, entertainment or not. Let me start by saying I'm going to get to that. But I got some other points that I want to make first before I say what my personal 2 cents is, because I have to speak for myself. I can't tell you what to think or be accusatory in that, but I want to lay it out. So, as I stated before, people love authenticity. I just also gave you the statistics of women and attendance in church, like who pretty much makes up the evangelical landscape of religion and religious organizations and church attendance, and that's 61% of women. So knowing those statistics and knowing those facts and understanding that molds the experience, the message, the tone, the delivery, the resources, the connection, all of that is intentional. All of that is intentionally created in order to curate an experience for that demographic of followers, supporters, attendees, members, whatever you want to call them. Key points to know about women, okay? About women in church. And in general, somewhat, but I want to really focus on women in church, okay? Women love authenticity. Women in church, present day, love authenticity. There is a difference in how women were in church versus how women are now in church. You have a demographic of women who are more than likely single, right? They have a lot of weight on their shoulders. Black women specifically, a lot of inequality in their lives, a lot of struggle, some things that just really causes a lot of burdens, a lot of heaviness. And church often becomes a relief of sorts. It becomes a safe place, a safety net, a way to connect with a community of other women who either believe what they believe or are going after the same things that they're going after spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, financially. Everybody wants a blessing, everybody wants healing, everybody wants wholeness, everyone wants a family. And when you're in church with people of like precious faith, right, with the same beliefs, you feel connected with people who want that too. Like being at McDonald's, everybody want McDonald's. We ain't in here because we don't want it. I mean, unless you pick it up for DoorDash. But anyway, everybody in church are there not for the exact same reasons, but along the same lines. They're looking for something from God. They're looking to get closer to their Savior in order to get the promises and the blessings aligned with their faith, right? So women love authenticity. This was a point in a moment that showed, my God, that showed that Sarah Jakes is just indeed, and if I call her Sarah Jakes, I'm not trying to be disrespectful of her husband at all, but that's just commonality because that's the name that, I ain't got time for no 3-part name. Sarah, let's call her Sarah. Sarah showed her authentic side as a woman. And by saying she showed it, I mean she had a accident happen that she could not control, and she did not try to control. That's authenticity. It happened and there was nothing she could do to stop it. Now, do I believe she would have stopped it if she could? Yes, I do. because who wouldn't? I would not want my wig to slip off if I had one on and I was in front of people. So to say that she created this instance, I cannot personally say I believe that she did. But what I can say is that women connected with it on a level that made them feel like she's just like us. The end. Women support what they relate to. Just gave a breakdown of that. They do. We do. It's okay. If it's a mother and I'm out somewhere and I may be by myself or with my kids and I see a mom out at the zoo or at the mall or in a restaurant and a child is like, having a tantrum or maybe having a good time or sleep or whatever, we connect. We relate. We just do. And I'm not saying men don't, but right now I'm making specific points about women because y'all get it. I ain't finna over explain it. So you connect with people you relate to just organically, not forced. I have made majority of my adult friends because I am a mother. That's what connected us and drew us. That's what we both shared in common. That's what we share in common based off of who we, see and what they're dealing with, going through, experiencing. You connect with them because they're in your space, they're in your, your zone and element, and it's happening naturally, organically, and it's not forced. And so, I feel as if though these women definitely in the moment were driven by what they were seeing happen. And she definitely played into it naturally. You can do that or you can shrink. She didn't shrink because of her teaching, because of her background, because of her training, because of the influence her father and his ministry has had on her. This woman has not been set up or taught to shrink. She's not going to shrink, y'all. It ain't in her DNA. I don't know what to say. She just not going to shrink. I'm raising a daughter myself who is not prone to shrink. There's certain things that my son won't do that my daughter will do, like with no fear, no hesitation, no question, because of how I demonstrate. Um, my forwardness, my assertiveness, my directness. My daughter is like that. It's not a bad thing, but it's just her character and her personality of what she's gleaning from what is demonstrated in front of her. So Sarah was not going to shrink in any way, even if this was in a regular home meeting setting or small group on a Zoom call, right? I don't believe that she has that kind of character or personality where she was going to shrink. So let's go from there. Women empathize with those who represent struggles, experiences, um, and different, pressure points in life that they themselves have gone through. And I feel as if though, you know, as much as we're just all making up these scenarios and instances in our minds because we don't really know all of the details, and it really doesn't matter what the details are because we saw what we needed to see. Those women connected with that because as women all around the world who may have saw it, they connected with it because they like, I done been through some, well, it wasn't cute, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect, but I ain't had no choice, right? When I've tried to give it as much as I could give it, I tried to look as great as I could look, and some still went wrong. Like they say, whatever could go wrong did go wrong. This will be one of those situations. She already up the hot, sweating, pacing back and forth, delivering a message without being able to hold on to notes and having to keep up with all of that. And then you got your wig sliding, sis. Child. I got it further down in my nose, but I'm just going to go ahead and say this to y'all directly right now. I don't know what I would have done if my wig would have began to do the cha-cha slide off of my head. I am I am only here to tell you the truth because a lie is not in me. I don't know what I would have done. My heart probably would have been pounding out of my chest. I've had instances when I was talking, like prior to me being in business, but when I was in radio and my notes, like I would be talking on the radio, like doing my segment in the morning show that I was a part of, and I've had my notes disappear on the screen. Like I was scrolling up to like go with the notes while I was talking, and I've had my notes disappear. and I'm on a microphone on the radio. You can't physically see me, but I am melting internally. Can't wave and flag down nobody to cut my mic to go to commercial, nothing. I just had to flow with it, had to improvise. I know what that felt like, because you can't have silence on radio. So you have what I think we called it, like the, like 90 seconds of dead air or something like that. Like when you have more than 30 or 60 seconds of dead air on radio, alarms would go off all around the office, all around the building. Sirens went off as if there was a fire alarm that had been pulled, because that meant that IT, that meant that all of the board ops and all of them had to come to find out, like, what's going on, like what's going on with your studio. Because if you have dead air internally, that means that on the radio people are hearing nothing, right? She is better than me, because I wouldn't have known what else to be. I would have tried to fall into that floor. Like, do y'all got a trap door down here for me to go into? My wig then fell off in front of over 1,000 people, right? And not to mention the streaming that they were on, that people were watching this woman's wig come off. So it was definitely one of those things where um you just be like, that's a, what, child, that's a nightmare on Elm Street. That's a nightmare on stage for her. But what I definitely believe is that the women who have been empathizing with her are women who are empathizing from a space of, I don't know what I would have done if it was me. That was a real moment, right? And then they get to just transfer it into spirituality, which is going to happen naturally anyway, because it happened in a church setting. So that for me is where the fandom comes in, where you have people who are fans and they're just not going to let you say or have anything negative, you know what I'm saying, to assess about the situation. And in respect, like, respective of that, I don't want nobody to be offended by me calling them a fan of Sarah, but let me give you the definition of what a fan is: an enthusiastic devotee, um, of someone who may be a part of a sport or performing art, usually a spectator. So if you're a spectator of any kind and you watch a sport, you acting, right? Singers, you can be a fan of people because you're enthusiastic. You're a devout, enthusiastic supporter and spectator of an individual or a group of people or whatever. If you're an admirer of theirs, that could be looked at as a fan. It's not bad. However, and comma, my thing comes in where you're going to either have a fan in church, well, you're either going to be a fan of someone who is a church figure, or you're just going to be like, I mean, I go here, I worship with them. That's the teacher, that's the preacher. What? Like, yeah, I attend. It's really, it's such a blurred line from feeling as if though you're a fan or you're just like a supporter, because sometimes it can feel like it goes hand in hand, right? um but what I will say is, by and large, my, skimming of the internet today of this topic, I found a lot of people who were in support of what happened, and they were okay with it. They loved the moment. They talked about how it glorified God and how it drew people closer to church, and how people who had never heard of her came to YouTube to find the clip themselves and stayed for the word, right? So, is it a bad thing? I don't think so. I mean, like, I really don't think so, but I feel like it was a moment that literally became bigger because of what occurred and what platform it occurred on. Um, I probably, not probably, I definitely will say that Sherry Shepherd's reenactment of it was fake. Sherry definitely did that on purpose, because that didn't even flow in with her set and how that works. You're talking about people who literally have multi-million-dollar production um plans and things like that going on, and they would not allow Sherry Shepherd's wig to slide off on our TV. So I did look at that clip and I was like, oh, whatever. But I thought that was funny, because she was covering the story. So what a naturally supportive way. Again, going back to my points at the beginning, saying how women support what they relate to, women love authenticity, women empathize with others who represent their struggles or their experiences. That's what Sherry decided to do. She decided to use her platform too to take, like some of that heat off and be like, girl, look at me. I don't care. I ain't ashamed. I snatched my wig off on national TV as well. And she did. It's kind of like a show of solidarity, of sisterhood. And in a time right now, often where Black women sometimes, and majority of the time, like, just to be completely honest, are underrepresented. And if we are represented, it's in such a negative narrative, right? It's such a nasty narrative that sometimes it does help to have other instances happen where Black women come together, where Black women show support, where Black women are just like, not on my watch. We not gonna make fun of her today, right? We're not gonna shame her for this happening naturally. That's how I feel Sherry may have felt. Like, we're gonna make a joke out of it, right? Since other people may be throwing, shade or stones or judging, let me do it too. And so I feel like it was that kind of motive behind Sherry deciding to do it on her show as well. And so I, there were some comments that she made during the instance when it was happening, when the wig was sliding off. Sarah made some comments that I took note of, because I was like, okay, these are interesting quotes to say in the heat of the moment, right? Like, given that this was a lot for her to process. She said, make the memes, the videos, or whatever. And she was like, I'm here, I'm locked in. I got a word from God and I'm locked in. And if this is a distraction for you, you know what I'm saying? Then forget all this. I don't need none of this. I do this to look good. I ain't got to have on none of this stuff. And for me, I think that it goes back to intention. Like, you can never really gauge a person's intent when they decide to um, take on these kind of callings, take on these kind of platforms, be awarded with this level of celebrity or exposure. She was granted this by her father. Now, surely a lot of people can say she's gifted or it's a calling on her life from God. I told y'all a couple of weeks ago, I don't believe that these are callings. I believe people are just good at doing them. That's it. Like, to say that you were called by God, I don't know what that looks like. I don't have any evidence or proof that that's actually a real way to become certified in anything or classified as anything. You say it was a calling, but you're just good at it. Okay, if that's the measurement of it, then cool. You have a calling to preach. You have a calling to teach. But you have some people who may not be called by God, but they still flow in that same, like, vein. They may still be good at it too. They just may not have a church to do it with. They may have a small group. They may do it on their YouTube channel. They may do it on Zoom calls. They may do it on their, Instagram, on Facebook. Does it make them any less powerful or effective in their community or, their circle? No. It just, you're saying religiously you've been called, and they're saying naturally they have a calling or that they're good at this, and they flow in it. And so for me, her saying, I don't need none of this to look, I don't need any of this. I do it to look good. She was talking about her wig, right? She was talking about her hair. And I just know, for me, it's like, I just see the progression of church. I see how church has become entertainment. And I saw this even before I stopped going to church, but it's really more now than anything. I mean, seeing influencers in church, it always vexed me, vexed my spirit, if you will. I've never liked it. That's just my opinion. I don't like seeing people project or live an influencer lifestyle in ministry. I feel as if, though, if your focus is spreading the good news, the Bible, the gospel, cool, do that. If you're a great dresser, if you like to stay clean, dress to the nines, a whole dime, that's your business. That's what you like to do, right? But when I see people who start to build a brand off of being in church, that to me is like, I don't, I can't really get with that, because it's like, I don't know if Jesus had a brand endorsement deal from the fishermen. I don't know if he had a brand deal with the with the woman with the oil, like if she gave him a, little incentive, little program or something like that, a little affiliate link for people to buy oil from her after he filled her containers, or told her what to take him, or after he lifted the fish and the loaves to heaven, like did they start giving him like a little price break on his fish? What exactly are we discussing here? And when you start thinking about it, it's like, no, you don't need any of this to look good. You don't need any of this, right? But you do it. You use it. It's a tool for you to increase other parts of your life, or for you to live and brand yourself accordingly in other areas and other avenues. If you didn't need any of it, we wouldn't be talking about this wig sliding off, because you would be wearing your regular hair, right? But we're here. And just, it's okay if this is just how you choose to live. Just let that be that. But I think what happens in moments like these, when you're caught up and things are happening to you, you just start saying stuff because you bout it. Like at this point, we in it. I'm just finna say whatever I want to say, right? I'm finna do whatever I want to do. They cheering me on anyway. I'm amped up. I'm all the way turned up, right? Shout out to Soldier Boy. She was all the way turned up. The musicians absolutely positively need a raise. What are we discussing? They was the one amping her. Between the music and the women in that crowd, Sarah had no choice but to buck, because she was getting all of the energy that was like making it even more intense. It was almost like a, I don't want to call it a beast, but it was like feeding something. Like it was feeding her. She was feeding off of their energy, and they were feeding off of her energy. And that, to me, like that's a powerful situation, because you're literally getting more and more glory. You're getting more and more oh my God, I don't even know how to put it into words, but she definitely solidified her space in the religious sector with this wig slide. That's all I'm gonna say. She did. She did. These women are going up for her in a major way. Beyond the spirit realm, they're just like, we like her. She's the one. Yes. President 2024, right? Like that's what we are right now. And so the next thing that she said, sometimes you have to see it from the platform so you can do it with your platform. And I get where she was going with that. She's saying sometimes you got to see it from someone else on a bigger platform like this. You see my wig fall off, girl, so you know you better lock in and go get yours. Like if this happened to me, you ain't got no excuse why you ain't going all in. You ain't got no reason why you backing down. You ain't got no reason why you ain't, like that was the energy and the momentum. Um, and it's important to understand that given the training, the skill, and the platform that she has, she knows how to correlate all of the things, how to turn something that was meant for sour into something sweet. Shout out to the Sour Patch Kids, right? She understands. And I know some people say, what the enemy meant for evil, God turned it for good. I would say don't take it that far, but this is a church instance, so go there with it, okay? I don't think the enemy got on that wig, but that don't mean y'all ain't gonna try to turn it, so have fun with that. And lastly, the next thing this, well, she said, and I mentioned it earlier, it won't always be cute, it won't always be pretty, but it will always be God. And so she definitely was able to tie it in to what she'd been talking about. She definitely locked in on their sermon and was able to use this as a demonstration of what it is to not back down, to not turn around, to not give up, and to keep pressing, because she did that. She did. And even though I don't personally believe that it was intentionally done or set up, I do know that other people think that it was. And I'm about to get to some of the comments that I've been reading online, and some comments that were left on my posts about it as well. And I just have to tell you, like, my 2 cents, I don't believe it was intentional. I don't feel like it was a setup. I do not comprehend or understand how um, her wig did this. Just given the fact that she is who she is, and I'm pretty sure she has hair and makeup that's behind the stage, and I don't think a wig of hers has ever come off. So it's like, did y'all do this quickly and not tack it down? Did she do her own wig that morning? Like, what would have led to this series of events happening? But I just got to be honest with y'all. I don't even think it matters like what led to the series of events, because the point was made, and it definitely was to her benefit. It just was. Um, so a, one of the points that I think, I didn't watch the video in its entirety, right? So people said that the women in the church start throwing their wigs off too, pulling their wigs off. I have not seen this footage. I don't know. Maybe after I get done recording, I will go and look. I didn't see that happen because I stopped the video right when I stopped it here for you all. All I'm gonna say is I hope that did not happen. Because see, then the conversation is gonna shift from Sarah to y'all. But I hope that was not the decision that somebody decided to make last Sunday, was to start snatching their wigs off because Sarah's wig slid off. Influence is real, you all. It's really real. She definitely reached the masses with this mishap. And another thing that I'm seeing, that people are like pretty much kind of like saying that she was made for this. Like, this is the mantle that's on her life to go forward in this kind of way, and to, break down and tear down certain ideologies and, standards and thought processes within the religious sector. And so she's pretty much been donned the Beyonce of the pulpit. After last Sunday, honey, they was like, she the one. She is the one, the two, and the 10. So Sarah, watch your back, because they watching you, baby. They watching you heavy now. Now y'all thought that it was something last year when her dad gave her turned over woman thou art loose to her. Mm-mm. She finna tear up. She finna turn this into a multi-billion-dollar ministry. Um, because again, 61% of women in church, 60% of members in church are women. And there's no way that we don't comprehend and grasp that these are women who pay their tithes, they're faithful, they show up, they connect, they want to be a part. A lot of the time, some of these people don't have connection and relationship with their outside community, like their family, their co-workers, friends. And so they find that solace, that peace, and that safety net in church. And when you get people like that involved, that see you as their big sis, they see you as their bestie, they see you as their auntie, they see you as a cousin, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they're going up for you. Don't believe me? Go check out Tabitha Brown, okay? It ain't nothing Auntie Tab can put out that ain't finna sell out, because people love her. People are endeared to her. And Sarah is finding herself in that same box, that same category. And it works well for the ministry overall, right? And the brand, but I don't know how effective that is for kingdom building, as what you all like to call it. So my takeaways: the musicians deserve a raise. I told y'all that. The crowd and the musicians amped her up, and I believe that I don't know, but honey, I believe in my chest that her beautician was rebuked in the back, because somebody got to answer for why my wig slid off. Nah, I'm kikiing with y'all, but this ponytail was not meant to ever be on the floor, ma'am. And if a beautician didn't get that right, that person probably was like, "Oh my gosh," because you can't go on stage and fix that real quick. Like, you can't run to the back while your backup dancers keep dancing for you. You literally just have to do one or two things, like ignore it or pull it off like she did, and she pulled that wig off. Okay, so let's get into some of these comments, and then we're going to wrap this up. Okay, because I want this wrapped up by 4 p.m. today, y'all. So the comment from my page, from my community tab, was from one of our viewers. Hey, thank you so much for commenting. So this viewer said, anyone other than me tired of seeing this and knows it was staged. Guess this is a trend now because 2 days later the same thing happened to Sherry. I'm so sick of Hollyweird and anyone that does this bull s. Okay, so I definitely, you know, I had not considered that it was staged until it was mentioned in the comment section that it was staged, possibly, and then when I watched it today's my first time viewing it, I looked at it and I was like, it doesn't seem staged to me because of how the service was going prior to that. she was touching it, like trying to, it appeared that she felt it. She felt the slide, okay? Um, and from there, her response and her reaction and her energy, she kind of felt, it seemed like she was nervous. It seemed like she was getting more and more emboldened as she kept going with it. But I don't know. Again, I can't assume her intentions because that would mean I would have to be in her mind in order to know what the plan was, but I don't. But I can definitely see how someone would believe it was staged. I'm not, disputing your 2 cents at all. Thank you so much for sharing it. But I will say, I believe that I'm gonna say I know. I believe Sherry Shepherd staged hers for sure. She definitely did. Um, Next comment that I found online says, "I can appreciate the influence she has had, and I'm sure many will or have gotten saved and took their relationship with the Most High more seriously. However, she should not have." She should not be looked upon as an icon for this wig situation. Truth be told, we're not to put others' hair onto our heads in the perfect in the first place. No, we're not supposed to wear the people hair, Lord. But we're not ready for that conversation. So, dot, dot, dot. All right. I'm going to stay away from the hair of other people's heads. I'm going to stay away from that. Okay. But what I did like that this person said was she should not be looked upon as an icon for this wig situation. That is very, very sound um insight. That's very sound insight. I don't think she should be looked at as an icon, but like I said, this just increased her stock because it's a blunder socially, even in a spiritual setting. But this is such a social blunder that people are going to be endeared to her because of the authenticity and the experience that they can relate to from it. The transparency that makes them feel like she's one of us. And that's indeed what people like this love. They can market it, they can, utilize it and spend it and leverage it to their advantage. So, yeah, she locked in, pun intended. Next one, she took the whole entire church to another level. Anybody else could have just done it. I think they meant couldn't have. Anybody else couldn't have just done it. It was powerful. I like everything she said. Everybody just can't roll with it like that. She was spot on. All right. Next up says, well, in the church I grew up in, people would be shouting and their wigs would fly off. They would keep praising God and running around the church. The young people would be laughing. But back in the day, there was no internet to capture those moments. Yes, that's what I said at the beginning of the video. That's exactly what I recall growing up. I don't remember laughing, but I remember seeing, like, older women in church, like the mothers of the church or whatever, who would be shouting and, flailing or whatever. Their wigs would flop, honey. That would definitely happen. And they would put them back on and we would move on. Like, wasn't nobody stopping, saying nothing about it, laughing at them or anything like that. And it's funny because in church growing up, they would say if you got hurt while you were shouting, then God wasn't in it, because God won't let you get hurt while you bucking and acting up. Okay, now if you get out of this little circle of ushers that's around you, you acting up, and the Lord is not in that praise. Just know that. So yeah, that's a very, I like that. I like that. What they call it when you're looking at something, observation. I like that observation. Next up, this is a good one. Okay, I started reading like the first sentence and I was like, nope, I ain't reading no more. I want to read the rest on the video. So this person said, it's a sad day that we become so skeptical and question how the spirit moves. It doesn't matter who it is or who God uses to get the message across. We can sit through all of these celebrities' shenanigans, glorify and pump them up. But as soon as real, live, and upfront situations happen in the body of Christ, we have all these questions, opinions, and explanations. So what it was Sarah Jakes. When many sit and glorify Beyonce for any and everything she does on her platform. But when Jesus comes to town, what? What? What are we talking about Jesus for? Okay. But when Jesus comes to town, again, his own receives him not. It is to be realized that this is truly the time that we knew was coming. The evil times when righteousness will be considered staged. I will say this, there are consequences of blaspheming the Holy Spirit, and I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna go over the top part of that paragraph. I'm not gonna do that. What I want to know is, why do y'all feel so comfortable with um threatening people? Like, it seems as if though that's the go-to response when things that you feel are challenged according to your belief system. Y'all get so vengeful. It's like that just becomes the next thing. I'm finna threaten y'all, right? There are consequences of blaspheming the Holy Spirit. What is the consequence? And why do y'all feel like so okay with passing out these tickets, these wolf tickets? I don't know. Maybe just me. I've seen it several times. I've had it happen on my videos a lot with people telling me what was to come. And I'm just like, why do y'all go this hard to this point? It's disturbing, to be honest. It's almost as if though you all find joy in threatening people and trying to invoke fear, and I don't like that. I don't think that that's cool. If people have their opinion on whether or not this was staged, let them have their opinion. I don't get why God at this point turns into a vengeful wrath, uh dishing out being because y'all think that that's what God's response should be. I don't think God cares about this wig slipping off, and I don't think God cares about whether or not people have something to say about it being fake or real. You all are upset because you saw the powerfulness in it. Just because me and other people may not have seen the equal amount of powerfulness, don't mean nothing. Conversation, it's okay for conversation, but this is fan level behavior to me when you go above and beyond to like compare her to celebrities or her to Beyonce. She is a celebrity. Sarah Jakes is a celebrity for sure. A-list, I ain't saying all that, but she's known. She is known probably in all of the United States. There are people in all 50 states who probably have heard of Sarah Jakes. I'm not saying everybody in the United States have, every human, but I'm saying someone in every state has probably heard of her. That's what I'm saying. So to me, that is celebrity status. She's connected to her father, who has a global ministry. So yeah, the comparison is not fair to talk about glorifying Beyonce unless you're saying this to other believers, because glorifying Beyonce outside of church is totally what the world gets to do as a fan or supporter of her music and her artistry. Making an icon or a celebrity out of Sarah Jakes is what works in church. And that's just what it is. And either way, we're all entitled to our own feelings and opinions. But yeah, there's that one. Next up, it says, I feel it was staged and it certainly overpowered the message. People love theatrics, but does it feed the soul? Okay. I like calmly posed, non-dissertation level responses. And this was direct. This person goes on to say she's TD Jake's daughter for sure. Oh, 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 not the last part. Pimpin' ain't easy. Child, child, these comments are sending me. Pimpin' ain't easy. I definitely said at the beginning of this video, she is her daddy's daughter. She did that so effortlessly. The way that she got through that was effortlessly. She deserves a pat on the back for that, okay? Because I know I probably would have folded. I would have needed the break, okay? We'll be right back after these messages. That's what I would have said in the microphone. I would have turned it off and I would have stepped to the back. I would have handed that to Cora, like, Cora, come over here and pray real quick. Speak in tongues for the people. Put them in a little trance while I get my hair laid, and then I'll be right back. But no, she did that. But feeling as if though it was staged, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I respect all opinions. I'm not here to say whether it was or it wasn't because we don't know. But what we do know is that it was well received by some, by majority, it appears, and by others, there are just some questions out there. Nevertheless, people enjoyed the message and they are more endeared to who she is as an individual, as a woman, as a minister. And it just continues to solidify her space of being transparent and authentic and relatable. And you can't be upset about that if that's somebody's um, you know, glorious moment, then let them have it. Cause it ain't hurt nobody, to be honest with you. It ain't hurt me. I've been disconnected from caring about like all of the theatrics in church because I was a part of them at one point. So now I'm just like, that's what they do. It's like watching, a lion, or not watching a lion, but it's like watching an animal do what an animal does. A dog scratch its back, or, its stomach, or whatever may happen when you're in your environment and you see people acting accordingly to what their environment standards are. You just start realizing, ain't no we can do about that. It's performative, yeah. Does she maximize it? Absolutely. Has it increased her platform? For sure. So that's just where we are with it. But it doesn't take away the fact that I'm sure she was embarrassed. I'm sure she was hot. I'm sure she was bothered, but she made it through. So there's my take on Wiggate. And yeah, I mean, I need to go back to the video and see what it looked like before it started sliding. Because it looked like it was a pretty cute wig, honey. The bangs, not the bangs, the bangs. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm a clown. But I hope that my take was as neutral as I truly feel about it. I feel so neutral about this, you guys. I'm not finna get bothered by it. I have no problem with people in church carrying on like this because this is what they do. I think the most that I actually felt sad, that was the emotion I could pinpoint, was like just seeing the response of the women, like how they were just going up and cheering and crying. And I'm like, dang, this is literally what it's like to have the hearts and the minds of people pretty much captive. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it really plays into even like the reviews and reaction videos I've done to the Hillsong, documentary. It's that level of pandemonium that occurs in church where people are literally there for you. They're there for the person on the stage. And it's highly emotional driven. I don't care about that wig. I'm more concerned about the people in the audience that are just highly emotionally um uh, 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 available to this stuff. It's like they are locked in. They don't know how to like detach themselves from it emotionally. They are all in. They believe every single anything about her or whatever may come out of her mouth is going to be the gospel, whether it's true or not, whether it aligns with what they say they believe or not. It's about the person it's coming from now because they're endeared to and they're inspired by and they are um excited to be in connection with, close to, or under the leadership of this person. And this is how you usually end up with tyrants and little problematic people, toxic church people, because they get this level of control and power over individuals with the gospel. So yeah, was her message powerful and impactful? I'm sure it was. I'm pretty sure. But this definitely sent her over the top. So there's my take on that. If you have any feedback or 2 cents on the video that you watched, let me know. Do you think that it was staged or that it was organic and authentic, honey? I would love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to the channel. I would love to add you to my 2 cents crew. Until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video, and make sure your edges are locked in. Bye.